Honda Motor is now Japan's third largest automobile and motorcycle company. For many in Japan, November 17, 1906, was just an ordinary day. But it was also the birthday of Soichiro Honda, a man who would go on to change the world in many ways. Honda's father worked as a blacksmith and ran a small bicycle repair shop, while his mother was a weaver. The family lived in poverty, and tragically, 5 of Honda's 8 siblings died during childhood due to illness. As Honda grew up, he developed a keen interest in tools and machinery, especially after seeing his first car, a Ford Model T, when he was just a toddler. He chased after it, completely captivated by its design. The memory and the smell of oil stayed with him. At that time, bicycles were becoming popular throughout Japan, and customers began lining up at his father's repair shop. Honda spent a lot of time watching his father work and practiced repairs himself. He even started building toys using random scraps and materials he found. Within a few years, he was helping regularly with the shop's repair work. However, he did poorly at school. Academics just didn't interest him. He constantly wished to be back in the workshop instead of the classroom. His lack of motivation was reflected in his grades. Students were given report cards to take home for parental review, where parents were supposed to stamp them with the family seal. But Honda didn't want to disappoint his parents by showing bad grades. So he carved a fake family seal using a scrap rubber pedal cover and used it to forge his parents' stamp on the report card. It worked. It worked so well, in fact, that other students with bad grades started asking him to create fake seals for them too. Eventually, though, he was caught. And his father wasn't angry about the cheating itself, but upset that his craftsmanship had been so poor he'd been discovered. Though he lacked formal education, Honda continued honing his skills in the workshop, with a growing fascination for machines and engineering. Then, in 1917, at age 11, Honda heard that a pilot named Art Smith was performing an air show. He borrowed some petty cash, took a bicycle, and rode 20 kilometers to the military airfield. But when he arrived, he realized he didn't have enough money for a ticket, so he climbed a tree to watch the demonstration from above. He was amazed, and the experience deepened his love for invention and mechanics. When he returned home, his father had already found out what had happened. Luckily, instead of punishing him, his father admired his initiative and determination. Deep down, he was probably proud his son shared his passion for engineering. He let the incident pass without consequences. In 1922, after finishing school, Honda came across a job ad in the newspaper. A company called Art Shokai was hiring an assistant for its Tokyo auto repair shop. He figured that if they were advertising, they might accept young apprentices too. So at age 15, he left his village in search of a future in the capital. Going from the countryside to the busy streets of Tokyo was overwhelming, but his instincts were correct, and he secured an apprenticeship at Art Shokai. His first day, however, didn't go as hoped. He was assigned to cleaning duties, cooking, and babysitting. It wasn't what he had imagined. Apprentices weren't paid, but were offered a place to sleep and enough food to get by. Soon after, a major earthquake struck Tokyo, forcing many workers to leave. With the shop short-staffed, Honda was asked to step in and help with actual repairs. He worked hard and proved himself, and eventually earned a permanent mechanic role. He started repairing cars and motorcycles, which at the time were only for the wealthy. He encountered many models from various manufacturers and learned from each one. He inspected every vehicle thoroughly and read every car magazine he could find. Before long, he was not just fixing vehicles, he was designing replacement parts too. Impressed by his dedication, one of the owners, Yuzo, began teaching him the business side of things. Yuzo became a true mentor and introduced him to the world of motorsports. In 1923, Yuzo began building a race car and asked Honda to help construct it. Their second model, called the Curtiss, won the 1924 Japanese Motor Car Championship. Honda joined as the assistant engineer. That victory, being part of creating a race-winning car, left a lasting impression. At age 20, Honda was called up for military service. But during the medical exam, they discovered he was colorblind, and he was excused. Shortly after, in 1928, his mentor offered him a major opportunity to open a branch of Art Shokai in Hamamatsu, near Honda's hometown. It was a big responsibility for someone in his early 20s, but he accepted the challenge. At first, he ran the entire repair shop by himself. Some customers were skeptical of his youth and doubted his expertise. But over time, he built a strong reputation in the community. By the mid-1930s, he had hired a full staff, and the shop was thriving. At last, Honda was earning good money. From unpaid apprentice to successful business owner, his rise had been impressive. And as a wealthy young man, Honda didn't shy away from enjoying life. Stories tell of him spending time with geishas, throwing extravagant parties, and even dancing naked at his own wedding. He worked hard, but he partied even harder. However, not all of Honda's nights of drinking ended on a high note. One time, while intoxicated, he accidentally knocked a geisha out of a second-floor window. Miraculously, she survived by landing on a tangle of overhead wires. But to rescue her, they had to cut the electricity, causing a blackout throughout the entire town. Despite such misadventures, Honda still found great joy in racing. Yet even that would bring him dangerously close to death. In 1936, during the Japanese high-speed rally, Honda was involved in a serious crash. The accident forced him to abandon racing completely. He spent 3 months recovering in the hospital and was left with a scar for life. Doctors said he was lucky to have survived at all. The incident became a turning point. Honda realized that his sudden wealth had led to a reckless lifestyle. He had been living like a thrill-seeking playboy. But now, several near-death experiences prompted him to reassess his priorities. Even though his auto repair shop was successful, something was missing. He had grown tired of merely fixing cars. He longed for a greater challenge, something to build, something of his own. He believed manufacturing was the future. So he approached Art Shokai, the company he managed the shop for, and proposed turning his garage into a production plant for piston rings. But Art Shokai had no interest in the idea. Business was booming, and they didn't want to take unnecessary risks. Producing parts rather than repairing cars meant higher costs and more uncertainty. Undeterred, Honda teamed up with a friend to launch a new company, Tokai Seiki Heavy Industry. During the day, he continued managing the repair shop. At night, he worked on his new venture, laboring to develop piston rings. It was a grueling schedule, and sleep was rare. To improve his knowledge, Honda also enrolled in evening classes, studying metallurgy and materials science in detail. He worked tirelessly for 2 years. Finally, in 1939, he made a breakthrough with a new piston ring design. He handed over the garage to his trainees and focused entirely on manufacturing. He was genuinely excited again. This was the work that fueled his passion. Production began, and things seemed promising. But the challenges arrived quickly. They secured a contract with Toyota, yet of the thousands of piston rings they delivered, only 3 met Toyota's quality standards. It was a major setback. Still, Honda refused to give up. Determined to succeed, he visited factories and universities across Japan. He wanted to learn everything he could about precision manufacturing. Eventually, his skills improved so much that he could meet Toyota's exacting requirements. Better still, Honda developed an automated method of production. This allowed even unskilled workers to create consistent, high-quality piston rings. Costs dropped, production soared, and demand skyrocketed. To keep up, Honda opened a new factory dedicated to mass production. However, just as success was within reach, history intervened. Japan entered World War II in 1941. and many of Honda's male workers were drafted into military service. His factory was left severely understaffed. Material shortages followed, making production extremely difficult. Honda became resourceful out of necessity. When enemy planes dropped fuel cans, he had his employees collect them, repurposing the metal for manufacturing use. Despite these efforts, disaster struck in 1944. One of Honda's factories was bombed during an air raid. And just a year later, an earthquake destroyed another plant. Years of work were literally reduced to rubble. The company, already weakened by the war, could not recover. Honda was forced to sell what was left of his business to Toyota. Post-war Japan faced a crippling fuel shortage. Public transportation was barely functioning, and few people could afford cars. Bicycles became the most common way to get around. That's when Honda had an idea. He attached a small motor to his bicycle. The concept drew immediate attention. People needed a cheap, efficient way to travel. Recognizing its potential, Honda founded the Honda Technical Research Institute in 1946. Using the money from the sale of his old business, he focused on one goal: figuring out how to mass-produce motorbikes. He acquired leftover military engines and began building motorized bicycles. They quickly became a sensation across Japan. Orders flooded in, but supplies of surplus engines soon ran out. So, Honda designed and built his own engine from scratch. But to meet soaring demand, he needed significant capital. Unfortunately, Japan's post-war economy was in ruins. Finding investors was nearly impossible. Still, Honda refused to accept defeat. He sent letters to 18,000 bicycle shop owners across Japan, explaining his idea and requesting financial backing. Astonishingly, 3,000 of them replied, offering to invest in Honda's motorbike business. This influx of support enabled Honda to begin full-scale production. The new motorbikes were simple, affordable, and efficient, perfect for the times. And just like that, Honda was back on his feet, launching what would soon become one of the most iconic motor companies in the world. After the war, Honda was back in operation. In 1948, Honda Motor Company was officially founded to build small motorcycles. The mission was to offer a budget-friendly vehicle to help everyday Japanese citizens travel more easily. Honda partnered with Takeo Fujisawa, who not only invested in the company, but also excelled as a business strategist and manager. His skills allowed Honda to fully focus on innovation and engineering. The company's first proper motorcycle was the D-Type, short for Dream. Though it was considered a bit heavy and clunky, Honda swiftly followed it up with the Super Cub. Lighter, safer, and easier to handle, it quickly became a sensation. Demand exploded from all over Japan as orders flooded in. This marked the beginning of Honda's mass success in motorcycles. Eager to expand, Honda looked to the US market. In pre-1960s, America motorcycles had a rough reputation, often associated with rebellious and aggressive figures. To counter this image, Honda launched a revolutionary ad campaign featuring the slogan, "You meet the nicest people on a Honda." This clever messaging, combined with Honda's approachable and lightweight design, helped change public perception. Families and young people started seeing motorcycles as a practical mode of transport. In 1964, almost half of all motorcycles sold in the US were Hondas. Light and easy to ride, these bikes became common on American roads. By the late 1960s, Honda had become the world's largest motorcycle producer, manufacturing nearly 1 million bikes every month, a position it still holds today. Honda's success wasn't limited to the sales floor. In 1966, the company won the Constructors' Championship across all 5 Grand Prix motorcycle classes. Their bikes had now dominated all major racing events. Honda had become a global benchmark in motorcycle performance, business growth, and innovation. Yet, Soichiro Honda still had one unfulfilled dream. That dream was to build cars. As a child, Honda had been fascinated by automobiles and long, wished to create his own. Having come from humble beginnings, he was determined to design a quality yet affordable car that anyone could own. However, most people advised him against it, warning that the car industry, particularly in the US, was fiercely competitive and dominated by big-name brands. But Honda wasn't one to shy away from risks. Having mastered 2 wheels, he was ready for 4. The company's first car, a small truck called the T360, launched in 1963. Unfortunately, it didn't gain much traction. Instead of backing down, Honda used the failure to reevaluate and improve his strategy. In the early 1970s, environmental awareness began rising, sparking new legislation in the US. The Clean Air Act introduced stringent emission regulations. Most automakers pushed back, arguing compliance was impossible. Honda, on the other hand, saw opportunity. He tasked his team with inventing an engine that would meet the new standards. The result was the CVCC, Compound Vortex Controlled Combustion Engine, which reduced pollution and improved fuel efficiency. While rivals fought regulations in courtrooms, Honda engineered a solution. He once quipped that when Congress passed new laws, Honda hired engineers, while GM hired lawyers. In 1972, Honda launched the Civic, the first car to feature the CVCC engine. The Civic was compact, efficient, reliable, and perfectly timed. Just as the 1973 oil crisis hit and gas prices soared, the Civic's fuel economy and low emissions made it a standout. It soon became a global bestseller. With its growing popularity, Honda followed up with the Accord, a roomier and more refined vehicle targeted at middle-class families. It combined solid design with affordability and soon gained a loyal customer base. Honda's reputation for quality was spreading fast. As the Accord gained popularity, Honda saw an opportunity in the luxury market. In 1986, it launched the Acura brand in the US, offering premium cars at competitive prices. Acura quickly found success, especially in the US and Japan. By catering to a diverse consumer base with multiple vehicle types, Honda captured growing market share globally. By the end of the 1980s, Honda had become the world's 3rd largest car maker. The company continued to diversify its products and refine its manufacturing. Soichiro Honda, however, wouldn't live to see the company's future achievements. In 1991, after battling liver failure, he passed away at the age of 84, leaving behind a legacy of over 150 patents and an estimated net worth of $92 million. Though he had 3 sons, none inherited the company. Honda and Fujisawa believed firmly in meritocracy, choosing talent and professionalism over family ties. They felt that strong companies are built by skilled individuals, not family privilege. After Honda's passing, the company continued to thrive through organizational changes and product improvements. Even today, Honda is one of the top car manufacturers in the world. The company has expanded far beyond cars and motorcycles, branching into aviation, robotics, and other advanced technologies. It's remarkable to consider how Soichiro Honda's journey began. Just a curious boy with a passion for machines and tools. He stayed true to his vision, adapting his plans when things didn't go as expected. His belief was simple: if you build something excellent, people will buy it. That mindset powered his efforts throughout his life. Soichiro Honda worked relentlessly to build not just a product, but a brand that people could trust.